After what seemed like hours, I finally woke up, slightly refreshed. My body knew that if I slept any longer, I'd be up all night, which was not part of the plan for the day. I rubbed my eyes and sat up, letting a soft groan escape my lips. In response, something beside my bed shuffled, causing me to look over. I didn't know what I was expecting. "Hey, Bae, how you been?" Beside me, sitting in a chair beside the bed, was Damien. Rousing himself up to see me awake, I smiled at him, seeing his slight ruffled hair and tired eyes.
Oh, you're awake. How do you feel?
The creature yawning at me, you yawn. I feel better, you know. Damien nodded before he looked down at the bed, taking my hands into his.
I'm sorry. This is all my fault.
No, it's not. Damien, it's not your fault.
No, it is. I was the one who wanted to come to the
all
human
your brothers
world.
seem kind of insistent
I convinced
upon
the
it.
others to come with. If I never did that, we'd never have put you in danger like this.
Yeah, but we also wouldn't have met, so priorities. I quickly reached over and put my fingers on his lips, stopping him from going any further. I didn't want to hear anymore. Damien, it's okay. I wanted to help you out. I offered to let you all stay. Nothing is your fault. I gently moved my hand and cupped Damien's cheek, staring at him with concern. I didn't want him to hold guilt in his mind about this whole ordeal. Diana was desperate, and she'd hunt anyone for them. I think that should be hurt anyone for them, but meh. It wasn't his fault. She was desperate enough to hunt them down. One thing bothered me, though. Why did his dad scorn him? Why did Damien want to run away? The other seemed a little obvious, but Damien was a mystery. However, before I could vocally curious, however, Damien gently held my head in his hands. Damien? Damien frowned and simply held me.
I'll show you everything.
Really? Right now? I didn't have supplies prepared, and, something else. Damien let out a small laugh, a hint of depression lingering on the breath that let it out. Before he focused his energies into my head, my vision blurred, and suddenly, I was back in the demon castle. Oh, flashback time! Aw, cute little devil Damien. Or incubus Damien. I expected to see Damien wandering around the halls with his brothers. However, I found him alone, sitting on the foot of the throne, tearfully curled into a ball. The room smelt of blood, but my eyes couldn't look away from the tearful Damien. Damien. I knew he couldn't hear me, but I instinctively called out to him. He looked lonely. Where were his brothers?
Why are you crying?
Grandpa? Damien picked his head up suddenly, as did I. Grandfather.
Who are you? What do you want?
Yeah, Grandpa. What are you doing here? Mine.
I just want to know if you're okay.
Who are you?
Yeah.
Don't be afraid. I'm just a friend.
Are you? Are you really?
Friend?
I stared, completely in shock. When did? My grandfather knew them? Everything started going in fast forward. I saw Damien talking to the voice of my grandfather, seeing his sad face go from happy to surprised to fascinated, the cycle randomly. There were even moments when Matthew joined him, letting Damien speak to the voice in the air. It was all unbelievable. Here, my grandfather spoke of the human world, painting it to be a beautiful world full of opportunity. Which, it can be, but, How did my grandfather know all about this? What was going on? My mind slightly spun at the idea that my grandfather delved into magic and demons. Eventually, the world around me slowed down to see the boys standing before the empty throne. They looked determined, stout, and ready for something to happen. Damien stepped forward and held his hand out to the throne.
O tenebris portas, aperiat nobis, ladiet horexitum, desiderium,
Magic? My grandfather started to chant a phrase unfamiliar to me, letting it rupture into the air around the boys. Gusts of wind started to brush through the room like a storm rushing in. I watched, however, as a small tear opened. Oh god, are we doing blood magic? Are we tearing the veil? Really? As a small tear opened in the air in front of the throne, it glowed an unholy purple color, peeking into a very familiar pink cafe. Wait, what? No way. That's... Quickly, Sam rushed over and dove his hands through the air, tearing, pulling it open, and making it larger to reveal the Pink Lady Cafe with my grandfather on the other side. My grandfather held out his hand, ushering the boys to come.
Hurry up, boys! I can't hold it open for long!
So yeah, move. Instantly, the boys ran through the tear, climbing through and almost crashing into tables and chairs at the cafe. I felt myself move, though, as well, joining them as my grandfather closed the portal. Wow, they look weird in this room. The boys looked around the space, almost mystified at the sight. My grandfather laughed out of breath before sitting down with the nearby tables.
There now. Welcome to the human world, boys. Let's see. Kay, make us some coffee, please. These boys need a drink.
And clothes, and, not to have horns, and... if they want to go topless, let them. Although, I now have questions. Why don't they have nipples? Do incubi not have nipples? I mean, it's kind of an important physiology lesson to know. I turned to see Kay, the owner of the cafe, and the only other person in the room beside the boys, smile and quickly get to work on making coffee. I was dumbfounded. She knew about them? I felt myself getting dizzy at the thought, but I shook my head out and tried to focus on what was going on. My grandfather looked at the boys up and down before chuckling again. The boys must have still been speechless.
You'll need a spell to cover yourselves up.
And clothes.
Humans don't exactly have horns or parade around naked.
I know, right? Although, no, that'd be uncomfortable. The boys looked at each other before collectively nodding and focusing their energies. Oh, darn it. Before my eyes, they went from their demons to human-looking demons. They looked at each other, ecstatic in their new looks. My grandfather, however, cleared his throat and brought the attention back to him.
Now don't be rude to Kay now. Sit and enjoy some coffee. It's the best in town.
Yay, coffee! Well, I'm a very big believer in coffee. The boys obeyed, obviously in his debt. I looked at Damien's face and saw he was almost in tears of joy. I could tell that he was beyond happy to be in the human world. I almost felt like crying for him, but I couldn't understand why. Maybe it was his facial expressions, or maybe it was just because I would meet him soon after this. Eventually, Damien stopped the magic, lowering his hands and letting me come back to reality. I held on to Damien, who kept a hold of me to make sure I didn't faint. Everything felt so wrong, and yet it all made sense at the same time. My grandfather knew magic. My grandfather helped the boys. They cast a spell on the mansion and on me to protect me. How do you know that, Miss Verse?
I was the one who convinced everyone to come to the human world.
Yep.
I was also the one who asked that man, your grandfather, to bring us.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, he was the one that said yes. So he helped you come through. What happened after?
He gave us a wallet full of fake IDs and maps of the world. He told us to go anywhere we wanted and that he would pay for everything so we wouldn't have to use our magic. It was like he made us human.
I have so many questions. Where did he get the fake IDs and maps of the world? Why did he just have that in his wallet? Is this trust fund still in place for you currently, as, I am the sole heiress of the estate? Just saying, I have questions. Damien laughed nostalgically. I could tell he was happy remembering how my grandfather had helped. I still couldn't wrap my head around it, but the answers I wanted were 6 feet under and unreachable now. You really wanted to be human? Damien looked at me, his eyes glimmering in both hope and shame.
More than anything, I still want to be human. I don't mean just in looks. Everything.
Why, though? Mind reading's awesome. Damien looked at his hands, lowering them to the bed between us.
Humans don't read minds. Humans
Well-
don't hurt people like demons do.
True.
I didn't ask to be a demon. I want to learn things, go places, and not have to be bound by magic or anything.
Well, the thing is, you can go places, you can learn things as a demon. As I understand it, it's not strictly limited to humans anymore now that you've crossed over. But, yeah, I can see if you're not comfortable with your powers, wanting them shut off. I stared. It was pitiful to see him like this. He looked almost like a child, begging me for something he really wanted. I wanted to help somehow. I just didn't know how.
It's all right.
No, it's not. I want to help. Damien,
You've already done so much for me and my brothers.
I could do more.
Sheltering us. Letting us continue to live here.
But I could do more. Damien frowned, though, gently caressing my cheek with his hand.
I don't want you to get hurt because of us.
Way too late for that guy. Way too late. That horse is done out of the stables, entering the Kentucky Derby, and won. Damien lowered his head in shame. I couldn't help but feel my heart squeeze within my chest at the sight. He truly cared. Damien let out a small sigh before looking to me with a new smile. He hid his sadness well, but I could tell he was still upset about the whole ordeal.
All right. You should sleep.
Aw, but I don't wanna. Damien gently pressed me back down to the bed, resolved in what had to happen. You know what? I'ma steal a kiss. I couldn't let him leave without doing something. I quickly pulled Damien down to me, lifted my head, and gently kissed him, softly laying my hand on his cheek to keep his face close. Damien stared deep in surprise before hesitantly kissing me back, pressing my cheek and slightly melting at the touch of our lips. A soft sigh escaped his lips before he slowly pulled away from the smile. He gently licked his lips, making me go red in the face at the simple gesture. He let out a satisfied sigh before nuzzling my forehead.
Go to sleep.
Aw, then I'll sleep with you. In more ways than one. And with that, he stood up and left the room, leaving me to rest as per his request. I smiled to myself before relaxing into the mattress.
How pathetically sweet.
Must you ruin the movement, darling? Must you? I suddenly tensed up. I felt majorly uneasy. She was here. I quickly looked around the room, sitting up straight, before seeing Diana lean against the window with a smirk towards me. What do you want?
Oh, I just wanted to see how close Damien was to you. Obviously, he's very close.
Yeah, it's almost like I told you this before. I stood from the bed, glaring daggers at Diana. And what's it to you? He doesn't want to leave with you, so leave him alone.
Oh, I will. I don't care enough for the bastard's son to try and take him away. I just want you to know exactly what you have.
Go on. What are you talking about? Girl, hush, story time. Diana chuckled, which made me slightly sick to my stomach for some reason. She knew something. I'm willing to bet she knows a lot of things.
Did Damien tell you about what he lived through?
Well, as we once caught him curled into a fetal position bloodied, nothing fun. He showed me when he left. He met with...
No, not that. Before that. Did he show you anything before that?
No. Well, he was scorned by the Demon Lord.
He didn't show you everything, did he?
He showed me some stuff. Why would he need to... He showed me what he needed to.
I don't need to show her anything else.
Hey, sweetie, we're talking about you. I turned to see Damien, glaring at Diana with a scary glare. I felt dark shivers run down my spine as I stared at him.
Ah, Damien. Right on cue. I was just about to show her why you hate your life and why you have a human fetish.
Hey, I am not, well, Maybe I am, but shush. We don't judge here.
You will not show her anything.
Why not? I want to see baby photos.
Oh, I won't. Funny, I don't believe you get to tell me what to do, bastard son.
This is my home still. Before Damien or I could leap at her throat, Diana snapped her fingers, suddenly making the room spin. I quickly grabbed onto Damien, who held me close as the room slowly began to change from my room to the demon castle. I looked around, feeling unable to move from Damien's embrace out of dizziness. I looked to Diana, who was leaning on a pillar on the far side of the room with a smirk. However, my focus gathered on a pair of demons, one of them being the demon servant that was with the demon lord, carrying sheets and books across the room.
Damn that woman, ordering us around! I bet she thinks she's all high and mighty just because she bore that bastard son. Well, she's no queen. She's a simple harem girl. She'll never be queen. The demon lord reminds her that every bloody night. You'd think she'd let it sink in.
What now? The snort that erupted from the servant's nose disgusted me to no end. How vile was this creature? Who was he talking about?
And about that boy, what do the other noble sons think about him? They treat him like an equal. He's no noble son, and he will never be. He's a bastard child that doesn't know his place, just like his bitch mother.
Okay, you're not a nice person.
Shh, you know he could read minds from a mile away.
Okay.
Then let him read mine. I don't care. That boy's a monstrosity never meant to be born.
He is still a child, sir. There's no need to be that rude. Aw, tiny Damien. The servant cleared his throat, however, at the sight of the demon Damien, who was standing nearby with an almost dead-cold look on his face.
Ah, you.
Yes, him.
Yes, me. I don't need to be a mile away to hear your thoughts.
True.
Boy, what?
What I'm doing out of my room is no longer your concern. I may be a bastard, but I'm the Demon Lord's son regardless. I won't take insults from you anymore.
I get this has been brewing for a while, but not the way to solve your problem.
Then what are you going to do, bastard son?
Damien started to step forward. I don't know why, but the room suddenly felt cold and dark as Damien started to approach the servant.
I'm finally gonna shut you up.
No?
If you threaten me, you'll threaten him.
Does he really, though? Damien's glare practically killed. I was afraid even to watch, but I continued, hoping to see the blood spill from this fight. Oh, hoping not to see blood spill from this fight. I'm just a little bloodthirsty, I guess. Damien continued to walk towards the servant, towering over him like a shadow.
I've taken your insults for long enough. Now, I get peace.
Do you?
Stay away!
Or don't?
I've had enough of you.
Damien, maybe? Maybe some anger management classes? Damien stopped, turning his head to look up the archway in surprise.
Mother?
Your mom's a sheet? The demon's servant slowly turned, also matching Damien's surprise, as they looked to the archway. A figure, completely covered in a red sheet, stepped out into the hall, slowly walking to Damien. The thick sound of chains echoed in the room, dragging across the stone floor. I felt something in my gut tighten, unsure of what was going on, but positive something wasn't right about it. However, the familiar smell of blood entered my nose, only it was fresher and more potent. My gaze slowly traveled down to the stone floor, only for me to go wide-eyed at the sight. Blood brushed over the sheet as the woman walked, painted the stone a dark red and almost black color in the woman's wake. I looked back to the mother, now worried that she was bleeding underneath the sheet.
Leave us.
Aww. The mother sounded almost enchanting, despite only saying 2 words in her arrival. I almost let it slip from my mind that it was merely a vision. The servant glared before walking off, mumbling incoherently under his breath. The other demon with him giggled at the servant's inability to fight back. I guess Damien's mother was powerful enough to silence anyone. However, one fact struck out at me. His mother was a harem girl. I imagined chains on her covered feet, making me frown. It was terrible to imagine.
What are you doing out? He'll hurt you if you aren't...
Damien stopped talking, staring at the woman walking towards him in a sudden calm demure. A hand slipped out from the curtain and gently caressed Damien's cheek, making him almost melt into the hand. Mother, ... Damien looked to his mother, a look of hopelessness on his face.
Why do you want me to turn around?
Just listen to my thoughts, like you always do.
Okay. I watched as Damien slowly nodded and turned around.
As you wish.
Okay.
Focus on my thoughts.
I could tell that Damien was holding his breath. He must have cared very deeply for his mother. It was incredibly sweet. Silence lingered in the room, obviously because of Damien listening to his mother's thoughts. It was almost awkward to watch. The hand that held Damien gently petted over his hair. The breath that Damien was holding slowly was let loose, letting Damien relax. Maybe she was calming him down. He was pretty angry. But why make him turn around? All she was doing was petting his head and talking to him in her mind. It seemed surreal. Something was wrong. I looked around the room, trying to see what was going on behind the scene. Was someone going to stop them? Was someone going to interrupt? My eyes landed on a dark shadow of a woman walking towards the couple with a knife in her hand. She had shackles with chains on her neck, hands, and feet, but they remained silent as the woman neared the couple.
I'm sorry.
What? No. No. All of a sudden, the mother brought out her other hand and took hold of Damien's horns, pushing him to his knees. No. Tell me where this is going. Damien, no! The shadow quickly started to roam at the couple, raising the knife higher above her head. I instantly wanted to move, to run to protect Damien. I remained still, watching the scene unfurl before me.
No!
Damien kicked back, causing his mother to buckle and fall back and release his horns. Damien quickly turned and grabbed hold of the shadow's arms, tightening his grip on them. The shadow started to scream and bite at Damien desperately. Damien glared and threw the shadow at the nearby pillar, making it disappear and drop the knife it was holding. I looked at the mother and regretted looking. The sheet that was wrapped around her wasn't long enough to cover her as she fell, the edge landing over her stomach and covering her upper body. The lower half of her body, though, was covered with multiple different scars and blood. Her ankles were both shackled to different lines of broken off chain. Her legs were together, but I could tell the number of scars and amount of blood only increased the further up her legs you went. Yeah, that poor woman. Also, what kind of shit is your dad into? I stared at the demon. Damien looked to his mother in shock and heartbreak. The real Damien around me gripped me tighter.
Why?
In an instant, his mother raised her hand to the fallen knife, tensing her hands and fingers to bare her nails. The knife flew off the ground and into the woman's hand, making her grip over the handle tightly.
Enough. I can't. I don't want to live like this anymore. I won't let him have me again. I won't let you invade my mind again.
Okay, this also explains why Damien's not such a big fan of his powers. The woman quickly got onto her knees and raised the knife over her head. I felt my mind screaming as I gasped.
I can't take it anymore! I can't!
No! Stop!
Enough!
I felt my voice vanish as I watched this woman, Damien's mother, slam the knife into her own body, curling over herself at the stab. After a choked sob and breath, the woman fell to the ground, curled into a ball as blood pooled from under her that already blood-red sheet.
No!
The world around me shattered at his voice. Stabbing through my heart, my stomach like glass, the world fell apart, and I was left in darkness. The real Damien gripped onto me, burying his face in my shoulders. I gripped his arms. Did that really happen? What did I witness? Why would Diana reopen this kind of wound for Damien? Finally, the world formed back in my room and Diana back by the window. Like I said, Diana is not stupid nor cruel, just ruthless.
The Demon Lord, despite his sadistic pleasures, loved Damien's mother beyond anything else, even his own wives. When she killed herself, the Demon Lord blamed Damien and his ability to read minds.
Not, his own horrible treatment of her.
The only ones who convinced him not to kill Damien were his brothers. So the Demon Lord granted Damien his life. But he would be doomed to become a lowly slave as soon as the eldest became Lord.
Yeah, but knowing who James is, he still would have had a favored position. I looked to Damien, who had a face of both murderous hatred and pure sadness as he glared at Diana. The woman he glared at, however, simply chuckled.
So, one day, he was visited by an angel who told him about humans and painted him a pretty picture about them. Now, he's obsessed with it.
Well, it does explain why he was so insistent to come here. Why are you telling me this? Why are you doing all of this? She's her. She is very self-serving.
To butter you both up, of course.
By torturing us.
I'm about to give him the chance to have his wish granted.
What? Damien and I stared in pure disbelief. Was Diana serious? She was a nut job. Yeah, but she is a powerful nut job. You keep forgetting this. Diana laughed, seeing both our faces.
I needed to see how well you could handle his past. You can't have true love without seeing all sides of your love, now can you?
She has a point. Much as I don't want to agree with her. Diana then looked fully to Damien, crossing her arms. Something about this struck a fear chord in me, but I watched in silence.
I offer you this, bastard son. I have the ability to turn you completely human. No magic, no mind reading.
That's really impressive. Also, I believe she is powerful enough for this.
You're lying.
Is she? You're the mind reader. Doesn't feel like something she'd lie about, though.
Am I? Read my mind. See for yourself.
Because, as I said, she is ruthless, but she is not cold. And she is also very calculated. Damien stared at Diana, only to go wide-eyed at her.
You're not. But...
That's right. Your humanity for your brothers.
Your voice for a set of legs. I mean, wait, what? That was the Little Mermaid reference from earlier. I looked at Diana in surprise. What? She wanted him to hand his brothers over to her? That was underhanded and cruel.
Think about it, Damien. You can finally be human. You won't hurt anyone anymore. You won't put her in danger.
Hey, I can handle myself, demon lady. I could see Damien look at me, instinctively making me look back at him. He had the look of fear, which scared me. He was going to say yes. Was he going to say no? I wouldn't know what to do in this situation.
All I ask is that you completely willingly let me take your brothers back home.
Nope.
No big deal if that means you get to be a human with the girl of your dreams,
No.
right?
No.
No.
Good boy.
Excuse me?
You heard the man, lady.
I said no. I will not give my brothers over to you.
Exactly. I could see Diana's anger flare up like a snake ready to strike. Also, the music disappeared.
You do realize what you're denying yourself, right? You're giving up your one chance to become human.
Hey, if you can do it, other magical beings should be able to do it too. We will figure this out.
I'd rather remain a demon than let my brothers be your slaves.
Exactly.
Now leave.
'Cause, yeah, if his mom being a harem girl, slavery bad. Tiana gripped her hands into fists by her side and glared daggers at Damien. However, she didn't move to strike. She raised one of her hands and rubbed her temples in pure anger.
Then I'm curious, Damien. What would you trade for your humanity? You wouldn't go so far as to have sex with me for it, would you?
What now? Girl, he is spoken for. Back off. Damien remained silent. I looked to Damien, expecting him to answer, but why was he not replying? My mind went to a mini frenzy. Was he willing to have sex with Diana for it? Diana let a large, surprised smile appear on her face at Damien's silence.
Or would you? Interesting.
Hey.
And if I were to offer that?
No. Again, silence. Damien wouldn't. He couldn't. Not with her. No way. Yet, at the same time, I felt that he was the master of his fate. He had to say yes or no. It wasn't my place to decide that kind of change. One part of me felt betrayed, but the other part of me almost wanted him to go through with the idea. For Damien's humanity. Damien remained silent still. Why was he not making a choice? Diana turned her gaze to me before smirking.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, I care a lot.
Well, I guess you've proven useless to me. You're not going to say yes with your little princess around.
Yeah, exactly. Bye-bye. A purple pentagram slowly appeared beneath Diana's feet, letting her slowly sink into it.
However, in case you do change your mind, call me. I'll be around.
Bye-bye. Boop. And with that, Diana left us alone in my room. What are we going to do in my room with my big bed? I mean, what am I talking about? I finally let out the air as I unconsciously hold in my chest, relaxing from the ordeal. Damien stepped to me and held me gently, surprising me.
Are you all right?
I'm fine. You're the one that had a chance at humanity. How do we feel about this? I nodded in response, unable to speak so immediately after being surprised. Damien let out a sigh, relaxing in the embrace. I gently placed my hands around him, returning the embrace slightly. I could hear Damien's heartbeat. He held me close in his arms, and I felt safe beyond words. Are you okay?
Yeah, I am.
Cool. I looked up at Damien, happy that he was okay. Damien blushed, moving a strand of my hair from my face to look down at me. However, he suddenly pulled away, looking down at his feet.
I should go. You still need rest.
Aww, but we were snuggling. Before I could speak, Damien turned on his heel and rushed out of the room. I stood there, staring at the door in a daze. Did that really just happen? Oh, hell no. Go get him. Pounce. There was no way I was letting him get away from me after all this. I quickly followed him out of the room, spotting him turn a corner to go downstairs into the lobby. I followed quietly, unsure of where he was going, but determined to follow him to his destination. To my surprise, he turned a corner and pushed open a wall, sliding into it and closing it behind him. I followed and repeated the action, earning entry. My house is full of surprises. When did this... How did Damien know this place? I walked down a small flight of stairs and continued through the dark, secret hallway, unsure of what to see at the end. What was my grandfather hiding in here? Was it a magic room? Was it a secret study? I didn't know. I felt steam gently brush against my skin, making me shiver slightly. A boiler room? I was wrong.